Hello, everybody. This is Martha Hines with Living the One Light. So I'm feeling called to make a brief video about the solstice and about some energies that I'm feeling pretty strongly right now. I'm recording this on Sunday, June 18th. So last night we had the new moon in Gemini. And I already made a video about my thoughts about the new moon a couple of weeks ago. So you may have already watched that. If you haven't, certainly feel free to get some more of my thoughts on that new moon. But now the new moon has happened, and I had a really interesting experience over the past couple of weeks, especially last week, and then last night during the full moon, new moon, that I wanted to reflect on a little bit because it feels both important to share and then also relevant to what I'm feeling coming up in the energies of the solstice too. And I'm guessing a lot of you feel this way about the solstices and the equinoxes. I mean, for me, they're definitely really highlighted moments, especially the solstices for me. I would say probably on an energetic level, this June solstice, which for me is I'm in the northern hemisphere, and so it's summer solstice for me, might be my favorite day of the year, actually. Energetically, it typically opens up something really magical and beautiful inside of me. And I've had some of my most profoundly beautiful and transformational personal spiritual experiences on summer solstice. Repeatedly, not every year, but many years that's been true, especially a few years ago when I was in Scotland. Well, 2 times I've been in Scotland on the summer solstice, and 1 time I was in Iceland very near the summer solstice. And especially to be so far north for me on summer solstice is way beyond words. I can't even attempt to put it into words, but nevertheless, I mean, it's always really, really, I love the solstices, winter and summer. But in particular, I think I would say it's summer solstice. So, yeah, energetically, they just feel like, incredibly important and pivotal moments. So I was wanting to drop into that with you a little bit. And also, so what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to just talk about some of the themes that I'm feeling, some of the energies that I'm feeling personally. And I'm going to look at the astrology of the solstice coming up. And then I'm also wanting to let you know that on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, the night before the exact moment of summer solstice at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8 p.m. Eastern time, which is the morning for those of you in Australia. And I'm still learning these time zones in Australia and New Zealand, but I think that timing might work for those of you in that part of the world, definitely in most parts of Australia. So anyway, at 5 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, June 20th, this coming Tuesday, I am going to be holding a really beautiful special solstice gathering with one of the speakers in the Rebecoming the One Symposium, Erin Duffy-Burke. So we're going to do this together, and we're going to start out with me channeling a message for the solstice. And then most of the time is going to be Erin taking over, and we're going to have she's going to do an ecstatic dance celebration, basically, of the solstice, which just feels so perfect for something to do on a solstice, and in particular, I would say for me, summer solstice. And also, it's part of the Rebecoming the One Symposium. It's one of the optional paid workshops or healing sessions or whatever you want to call them. And so those of you who are part of the Rebecoming the One, a lot of you have already gotten the all-in-one bundle, and this is included in that. You also could purchase it for a sliding scale of $25 to $45, just if you just want to come to that workshop. But this is part of the Rebecoming the One, which is almost entirely completely free and available indefinitely. So if you haven't joined us for that, please do. It's running for the whole month of June, and all of the talks and all of the paid workshops are going to be available indefinitely. So all of the free, there's 34 free talks, 4 free panel discussions, all recorded, all available indefinitely, and lots and lots and lots of beautiful offerings there for free. So please join us if you haven't, and I'm including the link with this video. But this solstice gathering is one of the paid options to help support the work of the symposium and to be together on this really magical moment of solstice. So please join us if you feel called. We would love to have you. Okay. So I think I'll start with talking a little bit about what I've been feeling over the last week in particular. And this is actually very related to the symposium, because that's most of what I'm spending my time on these days for this whole month. And so in the symposium, for those of you who aren't part of it, the first week, the symposium runs for the whole month of June, and each week has a different theme. So the symposium itself, Rebecoming the One, is a space for collective healing around our relationships to gender and sexuality. So the first week was focused on the divine feminine. The second week, which was last week, was focused on the divine masculine. And then starting today, actually, as the third week, focused on the divine person. And then the fourth week, next week, is going to be on, it's called Bringing Us Back to Wholeness, Rebecoming the One. And something that I noticed in myself and in my own experience of this symposium so far is, I guess, surprising and not surprising to me. This was true last year also in the first Rebecoming the One. My own experience of it definitely paralleled, I think, the collective themes going on in our world at the moment. And maybe not surprisingly, the divine feminine week was relatively easy for me and emotionally, and some sort of difficult themes came up, but nothing that threw me off in particular. But the divine masculine week was really pretty difficult for me in a lot of ways. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, but what I spent yesterday just recovering in a sense and really reflecting on why, what in the world was that? Why was that? Why did it feel so difficult? And again, there's many reasons. But what I realized is that part of it is that when we go into this, what I feel like is an important fully experiencing the polarity of gender, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, what comes up maybe in ourselves, and certainly in a lot of the conversations that we're happening and in our collective, for sure, when we go into these polarities, a lot of what is there karmically for all of us, for me personally, but just for our world, is deep, incredible hurt, right? And sense of separation and sense of division. And so that came out in a lot of the conversations and a lot of the sharing and a lot of even my own inner feelings and reactions about what various speakers maybe were saying or not saying or doing or not doing. And it was pretty hard for me. So just being honest, because I'm being honest because I feel like it's just an interesting reflection of maybe, something way beyond me. I mean, I know it is something way beyond me, but it feels important to just name it because I think it's a reflection maybe of something true about where we are as a world. And so last night I met with Jonathan Coe, who is my co-facilitator for the Divine Person Week, which starts today. And I noticed in myself as I was moving away from the Divine Masculine Week and into the Divine Person Week, I had this huge sigh of relief in my being, in my body, certainly, and in my whole being. I was like, oh, thank God. Right. And so again, I was reflecting on what is that about? Because that wasn't really what I was expecting moving into this month of doing the symposium. And again, I feel like it surprises me and doesn't surprise me at the same time. So when Jonathan and I met at the end of our time together, we realized that it was pretty much the exact moment of the new moon in Gemini. And so, I asked him, well, before we hang up, would you like to just sit together and do a little prayer for the new moon? So we did. And it was so beautiful. And what I immediately felt inside myself was so the new moon was in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. And Gemini is, very mercurial energy. And so Jonathan and I both have Mercury is very prominent in both of our charts for various reasons. And so anyway, they were invoking Mercury in our prayers. And what I immediately felt was the caduceus that's associated with Mercury, like this two snakes going up the staff inside my being, inside my body. And I was told by the spirit world, come back to the wholeness. Like what they were saying essentially is, in this week of the Divine Masculine in particular, but maybe also in the Divine Feminine week, you went to the polarities, you went to the sense of separation, and you were working that sense of separation and all the karma that's there and all of the strife that's there and the hurt and the pain that's real that has occurred on this planet. And now you're coming to the divine person. And part of the medicine in that is this coming back to the wholeness, coming back to the reality that we are both, we are everything. And so, I was feeling a lot of grief this past week, and especially on Friday, after the last workshop was over, I had an hour where I just lay in my bed and sobbed with grief. And it was pretty intense. And again, I'm just being honest because I feel like it's hopefully serving the collective to be honest about this. So what was that grief really about? I mean, ultimately what I realized last night is that it was about the pain of that separation between masculine and feminine, and the pain of, feeling separate. And what I was told when Jonathan and I did that prayer is that, of course, that separation is an illusion. It's not real. I mean, it's real in one sense, and it's just not. So when we come into that, they're basically saying to me, remember, you are both. They're not just one, right? Everything contains both. So it's impossible for you actually to be separate. Just come back in yourself, come back to the reality that you are whole, you are one. And the grief, it's not that the grief is wrong, but that is just incredibly soothing to feel that, there's no way for the masculine to be over here or the feminine to be over here, whatever it is. It's that it's all right here as one. So soothing. I mean, I just needed that really badly. So I was so grateful. And as I said in the video I made on the new moon, and again, you can go back and watch that if you haven't. This new moon was not only in Gemini, it was at 26 Gemini, conjunct Juno, which has to do with sacred union and sacred marriage. And it had never, I said to Jonathan, it never occurred to me the similarities between Mercury, Gemini, and Juno. that in a sense, Mercury, is about, and Juno absolutely for me is about our inner sacred union, and it can be outer sacred union and marriage and all of that. But for me, it's really about the inner sacred union. So to have a new moon in Gemini conjunct Juno was like, whoa, this is like double all about our own sacred union within ourselves. Of course it is. And as I also said in that other video, the new moon being at 26, almost 27 of Gemini is exactly opposite the galactic center. The galactic center is the center of our galaxy. So it's the, to have this new moon opposite the galactic center and then conjunct Juno, for me, that's like this ultimate feeling of when we drop into when we drop into our own center, when we drop into our own selves, it's like the center of our galaxy, which for me is really like a portal to existence, or a portal to the void, or a portal to God, source, whatever words you want to put on it. It's like we can get this infusion, this remembering of what it really truly is to be in sacred union in ourselves, in the world, with each other, with whatever, with life. And that's what I've been feeling really strongly in that new moon. And then this morning in my prayers, waking up, and yeah. So, so then now we have, we just had that new moon, and now we have the solstice coming up. So I want to show you the chart of the solstice because, it's still echoing a lot of these themes. And I'm really curious to see what wants to come through in the channeled part of that gathering on Tuesday, which again, you're very welcome to come to. It will be recorded. If you can't be there live, it will be recorded, and you can have it indefinitely. Yeah, I don't know yet, of course, what's going to come through in that channeled message. It feels like something really important, but I'm guessing it will have something to do with this inner sacred union. I don't know. We'll see. But I just want to show you this chart because it's really, really beautiful and powerful, and just to give you a sense so you can drop into your own sense of what are these energies of this solstice. A lot of people like Pam Gregory talk about a solstice or an equinox being like the chart of that being like the spark of energy for the next quarter of the year. I don't know if I agree with that 1000%, but sure, yes. I more, when I feel it drop into it, it's more that I just feel like, again, the solstice is a really, really magical opening moment energetically, and yeah, it's like it's opening this light. It's opening this really beautiful light to shine, for us to realign as that light in a particular way. So for me, looking at the chart of a solstice, or an equinox, but specifically a solstice like this, it's like more like it's just helping me to get a sense of, well, what is this energetic that maybe is going to be alive or is alive already? Because the solstice energy, I already am feeling it for sure. And I would say that for me, energetically, it's very especially present for the day before, the day of, and the day after a solstice. But I've been feeling it for a while. Okay, so let me show you this chart. All right. So, okay, so the solstice, the sun will have just entered Cancer and will still be conjunct Juno. So we still have that sense of that theme of the sacred union here, Juno conjunct the sun. Juno is 30 minutes away from Cancer, but I mean, it's 30 minutes away from the sun. It's very, 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 very close. And then similar with the new moon, because the new moon is just last night and not very far from the solstice. Another thing happening here is this almost conjunction between Venus and Mars that's happening right now in Leo, and the moon will be, coming right up to that Venus-Mars almost conjunction. And Black Moon Lilith and Pallas Athena are conjunct each other, and in that same lineup with the moon, Venus, and Mars. And actually, Hygeia will have just gone retrograde, just gone retrograde at 24 of Aquarius. As a side note, also in case anybody's not aware, yesterday on the new day of the new moon, Saturn went retrograde at 7 degrees of Pisces. That's a really big deal too. But Hygeia is also going retrograde right now, and it is going retrograde at 24 of Aquarius, so opposite this whole set of things in Leo. And also, Chariklo is going retrograde at 12 degrees of Aquarius, also opposite this whole set of things in Leo. So Hygeia and Chariklo both have their own versions of this incredibly beautiful way of bringing in healing, with Hygeia being really, for me, about an element of healing that's in the wisdom of our own bodies. And she also is associated with the same, two snakes going up the same caduceus kind of imagery, right? So that's interesting. Chariklo, though, is about, for me, the energy of just presence, healing presence, and holding presence. So both of these healer goddesses are opposite all of this happening in Leo with the moon, Venus, Mars, Pallas Athena, and Black Moon Lilith. So it feels to me like and I'm gonna just throw in there, we have Jupiter squaring the moon in that, and Uranus squaring Black Moon Lilith, Pallas Athena, and Hygeia. So basically, because this is a long set of things, the range of degrees here is pretty wide. So both Jupiter and Uranus are squaring that set of things in their own ways. But to me, that just emphasizes this energy. But the bottom line with what I feel in all of that is, again, this sense of us being held to come into a different way, a new way of, really working with what is this relationship between the masculine and the feminine, and how can we hold it in a way that's healing, in a way that allows energies to transmute and yet and to heal, and yet be held, so that we can Juno, really feel what it is to be in true highest version of sacred union in a way that is in integrity with our own power, our own beauty, our own wisdom, our own knowing, and that's able to work out these differences, quote unquote difference, our perception of there being differences between the feminine and the masculine. I feel like these energies are really, really wanting to support us to work that out and come to a balance and a harmony that we all are striving for. Okay, and then just to add in a few other thoughts. It's also interesting to me that the asteroid Eros will have just entered Pisces and will be exactly trining the sun on the solstice. Ceres, the dwarf planet, will also have just entered Libra and is squaring the sun and is in an out of sign opposition with Neptune and Pandora. So, and Pandora is going to be conjunct Neptune. Pandora is an asteroid that has to do with, among other energies, it's really about opening up, kind of innocently opening up, the Pandora's box, right? Like opening up what we didn't realize was maybe there, that needs to be released, that needs to come out collectively, individually. And yeah, there's just a lot of energy in all of this that's, I feel like, supporting us to be held, to come into the ultimate divine truth of existence and the truth of what it is to be in sacred union in ourselves, in the world, in existence, and to, in this earth life, to really let go of the karma, the stuff the stuff that's gone on this planet, in this illusion of the separation between masculine and feminine. And it's not easy. It's really, really not easy a lot of the time. But we're being supported to do it. And as I say that, Pluto is incredibly getting incredibly close to its exact squaring of the nodes, and it is and has been squaring Haumea, which is on the south node of the moon, and it's still going to be squaring her quite a bit. And also Pluto is in conjunct with Juno and the sun on this solstice. There's there's this whole set of things that has been hovering right around the 29-0 point of many places in the zodiac, and that's continuing here. So yeah, I've been feeling Pluto squaring the nodes so powerfully, so intensely, and I think also probably Saturn going retrograde in Pisces is also kind of bringing up a lot of this stuff that needs to be brought out. We're moving toward re-becoming the one, right? Like that's what we're all doing. We are the one, we are source, we are whole and complete. That's just true. And at the same time, there's this dance that we're doing here on earth that's involved so much illusion and so much hurt and so much pain. And I'm also, just to throw in another thing, I'm also seeing that on the solstice, Vesta will be trining Pluto also at 29 of Taurus, about to enter Gemini. So, yet another one of these energies on that 29 0 degree point all around the zodiac here. And yeah, Vesta is squaring Eros, and yeah, just lots and lots of almost conjunct Sedna, basically conjunct Sedna. Yeah, so many, I could name so many things happening here, but I think that's the overall theme I'm feeling in these energies, is that, we're being held, we're being supported. This is a moment, this is a time when we really can be choosing to let go of the sense of separation, let go of the illusions of that, and then also be with the reality of it. We don't want to, I don't want to pretend that the hurt hasn't existed, because it's very, very real, absolutely real. The hurting of patriarchy for people of all genders is incredibly real. It's still real. And at the same time, there's this healing, this medicine of that what I was feeling with, the snakes going up the rod inside of me, inside of each of us, that there is no separation. We're always only one. So it's both and, right? And that's so parallel in this Rebecoming the One Symposium, of starting with the polarities, the divine feminine, then the divine masculine, and now we're coming to the divine person. And the reality is that, yes, like, we have been feeling separate and in ourselves and in our world. And we never have been separate. We are always the one. So yes, I think that's all of what I feel called to say with this. Yeah, but feel into it yourself, and feel into, what does this feel like? What is it? What do you feel called to do? Is there a way you feel like, is the magic of the solstice calling to you in some way? Do you feel like you want to be out in nature and doing something with the stars? Do you want to be in some sacred spot? Do you want to just be in your home and doing something with your own altar? Do you want to, whatever it is for you is perfect. Great. Follow it. I do feel it as a very magical moment. And yeah, if you feel called to be with us live or recorded for the solstice gathering on Tuesday, again, June 20th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, certainly join us for that if you like. And again, it'll be recorded. So those of you in Europe, you can absolutely have the recording and do it the next morning. At the time of the actual solstice will be in the afternoon for you, those of you in Europe, of the 21st. And for those of us in the Americas, it'll be in the morning of the 21st. So our gathering will be the night before, basically. Yeah, and if you haven't signed up for the free Rebecoming the One, please do that. There's so many beautiful talks, and I actually just recorded last night a conversation with Jonathan Coe. He offered to interview me, which I wasn't planning at all. And in that conversation, we talked about a topic that I've never talked about publicly, and it was a little bit scary, but it was a beautiful experience for me. So we talked about my personal experience with my own sexual orientation, and being attracted to people of all genders in various ways, and just my honest thoughts and reflections on what roles in my own spiritual journey, how the different versions of attraction and love that I have felt and have experienced in my life, the roles that each of those maybe has held for me and continues to hold for me. So it's a conversation that I don't think has like answers. It's more like, just my honest reflection. And I would love to have you listen if you feel called to that. And I would love to hear your thoughts. And, it's a tender, vulnerable thing to be talking about publicly. So I did it consciously and I chose to do it, very carefully. But that's now up and live with the rest of the Divine Person Talks and available indefinitely. And so please do sign up for that for free if you would like. And we have so much more coming up the rest of June and beyond, in this symposium, and really, really beautiful workshops, more free talks coming out next week. The rest of the talks will come out next Sunday. And there's a panel discussion each Thursday, and then there's optional paid workshops each Friday. So yeah, just lots and lots more there. You can see all of it at the link for the free symposium. And I think that's all for right this second. I hope you have a beautiful time starting out this new lunar cycle of this new moon in Gemini. And I hope you have a beautiful, magical solstice time frame here. And please be in touch for any reason to share anything. And join us on Tuesday if you feel called. Wonderful. I'll see you soon.